I'm here in Duquesne, Pennsylvania with Father Dennis Colamarino. Father Dennis is the pastor of Christ the Light of the World Parish and St. Joseph Parish, and he's been here for a long time. How long exactly have you been in Duquesne?
Many people think it's been forever. Actually, it has been 31 years. I started off as the assistant at Holy Name, and every 4 or 5 years, all of the bishops decided to promote me, I guess what it's called, and give me another parish. So, and very willingly and very happily have been able to do that.
When you first came, what would you say was happening in the city versus what you see happening now?
Nothing. The mills were closing, people were moving. There was a spirit of depression, oppression, sadness, and so you had to work with what you had. It affected it gravely because we were losing young people, and I promulgated at that point that what we do here in church at our liturgy would be what turns around our parishes and hopefully turn around the community.
How did you go about setting priorities for what ministry and what outreach would be like in the parishes that you serve?
Priorities were set probably by my vision at that time, and a vision that hopefully the people would buy into. They began to experience a joy and hope. Young people started coming back to church because we provided for them good liturgy, which was great music, great homily, and the people jumped on the let's be a welcoming community bandwagon. And from that, it has expanded to beyond the walls of all 3 churches.
You've mentioned that hospitality is key to building really what you want in parish life. And so how do you build bridges among people who have been estranged from the church?
It's being able, as the leader of these communities, to welcome people to the community. Actually, it's really, hospitality takes on many different forms, many different facets. And for all the pastors out there, all the seminarians, all the young clergy, I say it's a very simple formula. It's learning to say yes. It's not placing on them burdens that we ourselves sometimes wouldn't carry. It's welcoming the community, working with them at the faith level they are. It's baptizing their children, marrying their grandchildren. It's burying them. Because once you get into saying no, once you get into expecting people to be at your level, once you get into beating them over the head with the rule bat and the ritual bat, then it's alienating them. That's why I think we're having evangelization for all the people that 40 years ago we threw out of the church.
You seem not to have a problem getting people to come to church. How do you make people want to come to Mass?
What I just said, taking time, getting to know their name, building trust. When they come to the rectory and say, we're not married, but would like our baby baptized, say yes, how about let's sit and talk? Rather than no, come back when you're living the Catholic faith the way I expect you to. We have 60 municipalities. We have 17 zip codes represented in our parish. And it's really about being a praying community. It's being one that emphasizes liturgy, all the seasons, and celebrate that to the best. You know, we spend money on everything else. I think liturgy is the top priority. And the people pick up on that. They don't scowl when somebody's sitting in their pew. They ask them their name. And people pick up on the attitude of the pastor. The pastor dictates the attitude and the spirit of a parish. And if he's going to be miserable and non-welcoming, not a good homily, then he shouldn't expect his parish to be evangelized. And one other thing is, I don't go recruit. We are like a magnet. And I don't recruit from other parishes. I take the ones they throw out.
We would think of Duquesne as a place with limited resources, so how has that been remedied by the ministry that you've provided?
We do not have limited resources because God provides for it. And our generosity, I always say two things. The poor take care of the poor, and money follows ministry. If you minister your people, they are gladly given. You don't even have to ask for it. This morning I received a $5,000 check from a guy who knows what we do here, who lives in South Carolina, but wants to work to continue. I have somebody that put a $5,000 donation in the Father Dennis ALS walk last Saturday because he wants that work to continue. And everybody does their little part. It may not be 5,000, it may be 50 cents, but it's accepted, it's appreciated, and they know it.
Is there any advice that you would give to other pastors about keeping teens and keeping young people engaged in parish life?
The biggest leadership people in our parish right now are people that I baptized 30 years ago. They're having their children baptized, they're making their first Holy Communion, and if I would have said, you have to stop living together and come back when you're not, they would have been lost forever. The Holy Spirit and the Lord works, and we get to work through them. They're very active in their faith now. They're married in the church. Everything is all above board, but sometimes it takes time. Big example that I think priests and parish staff do wrong is when the young people go to college. Well, you don't come here anymore, but I belong to the Newman Center. Well, you're not registered in the parish, so you can't be your sister's godfather. And I say, if you look and work with them, they're going to church. They may be not in your church because they're 5 states away in college. It's those kind of simple, easy things by you saying, yes, let's work together, it makes a big difference.
When you first came here, did you have to work at changing the culture or the attitudes of parishioners? And how did you do that?
Yes. The culture was, oh, you're at the Irish church. Then I went to the Polish church. This is our church. Then I went to the German church, and they weren't smiling either. And guess what? This is all you got, the Italian priest. And I didn't try to change them. I am comfortable enough with myself. I didn't have to go in the first day and tell them everything they've done all these years is wrong. I never make any changes in a parish for at least a year. I take notes, I let them get to know my name, I get to know them, I build trust with them, and if I tell them now to come to church on their hands and knees, they'll do it because they trust me.
Many pastors out there admire what you've done, Dennis, and they might say, well, you know, I'm not him, I'm not like him, I'm different, my personality is different. What advice would you give them?
Nobody is going to be me. But what you have to do is be the best that you are for you. know your weaknesses, know your strengths, tie into them. I let people know who you are. Many of our younger clergy were brought up in a seminary system is where you didn't let them know who you are. And so you spoke and speak not from the heart and the soul, but from the neck up. It's all this intellectual stuff that people out there necessarily don't want to hear first. They want to know you, they want to know who you are, how many brothers and sisters do you have, what makes you happy, what makes you sad, your walk with the Lord, your journey, what excites you about our Catholic faith. Those are the things that a lot of priests don't speak about. And I don't know if it's out of fear or they're just not comfortable enough with who they are. Get comfortable with yourself.
We know that you've been struggling with debilitation over the last several months because of your illness. How has that perhaps changed your perspective or made you realize everything that's been accomplished here because of the things you've talked about?
I look back, not what I accomplished, because it's not me doing it, it's us doing it together. Now, when I was more well, if that is appropriate terminology, I was able to use my feet and my hands. Now I get just to use my mouth. And all of you out there in video land know how that is. But it's also an opportunity for the people to give back to me. I wouldn't be able to stay here. If it wasn't for them taking care of me. All I do now is talk. I can't minister like I would like to. So I did it for 30 years.